All right, this video, I want it to be a collaboration. I really want people to leave comments, and I want us to collectively answer this question, because I can only probably, touch the tip of the iceberg as far as this goes. But our good friend Silent Bob, whose avatar is Brainy Smurf, he left a comment on a video I made called "Spanish Culture is Unknown in the USA?" He said this, quote, "I have a question for you American guys. Why do you care so much about ancestry, and why do you do these DNA tests? I mean, here in Europe, people are generally not concerned about those kind of things. I would love to know what your motivations are," end quote. So I'm going to tell my motivations, and then I want everybody else to tell theirs. If you're an American, why do you care so much about ethnicity and diversity and finding out your DNA? Why? I think it's because we are so ethnically diverse that none of us really know for sure what we are. And I feel that that's kind of what America was founded on. We were a nation in which people were leaving Europe and leaving other parts of the world to have a new beginning. And that happened hundreds of years ago for many of us. Of course, with my grandparents on my mom's side, it was closer to, a little over 100 years ago. But still, it's been long enough ago that those stories are lost. And because we get all mixed up, unless you had grandparents and great-grandparents who really sat you down and explained, this is our story, this is where we came from, this is how we got here. I think it's fascinating because there's so many moving parts in it. And even like for my dad, who's 99% Northwestern European, you think, well, that's okay, well, there you go. That's boring. His ancestors came from Europe. But even for him to take his DNA test, he never really knew for sure. Last name Shell, that's a German last name. Well, the DNA test shows that he's about a quarter German from what we can tell, and the rest being British. But he had no clue. Like, I think when you don't have a clue, like when you know that there's that many possibilities, because there's Native American DNA here, and then a lot of people assume that they're European, but then what if there's that wild card? What if you're Jewish? What if you're Spanish? And I know, and think of it from American's perspective, not from a European perspective. Spanish DNA itself is actually a bit foreign. It's a bit it's a bit exotic to Americans. It really is, because I know good and well that Spain is part of Europe. I know that. But the American perception of Spain, I think Americans tend to separate it from Europe. And I think they also tend to make Spain the Mexico of Europe. We're so familiar with Mexico and Mexican culture and Mexican people that that's what we tend to do. So, but even if you're an American and your name is Jim Smith and you look completely British, then you found out, hey, I'm 8% Iberian, that means I'm part Spanish. To that guy, that's exotic. Even though to a European, so what? It just means you're European, big deal. It's part of the culture here. And I think that's something that gets lost in translation with a lot of my videos. I think that's why it is that Americans watch my videos and they love me. Mexicans watch my videos, they love me. Europeans watch my videos, Spanish people watch my videos, and they think I'm a clown. They think I'm a troll. They think this guy can't be serious. That's ridiculous. But it's a matter of understanding American culture and understanding the proximity of things. So the easiest way I can explain it, why we're so obsessed with DNA, is because our nation was based on the fact that our ancestors, in my mind, I think our ancestors were the survivors. They're the ones who took the risk of sailing across the ocean, or in my case, on the Mexican side, going all the way from southern Mexico, all the way up to actually the Canadian borders where they settled in Buffalo, New York. They traveled such great lengths. So many people died along the way, but these are the people who survived and made this country. So there's some fascination behind that. But hundreds of years later, or 100 years later, whatever it is, now here we are, we look around, and we don't even know the stories. We don't exactly know where we came from. We just know that we are a mixed breed of people. And if we can get any clues to understanding that, I think it's part of the American experience to do these DNA tests. I think it's part of our culture. It's becoming part of American culture to take a DNA test, so that it's like a cultural identity to take a DNA test and learn about who you are. And it's our way of celebrating what it means to be an American. And I've said before, a lot of people, most people I've talked to, even if they were born in a different country, once they're here and they become an American, they're an American. You have to really pry out of them where they came from originally. That's part of the pride in being an American, is that wherever you came from, you get to celebrate who you are. But for those of us who didn't know for sure, it's almost a way to enhance the American experience, to say, you know what, we're all ethnically different, but now I can see that my ancestors who were brave enough to cross that ocean or cross those borders, whatever they had to do to get here, they got me here, and I'm proud of that. So that may be a horrible answer. That's okay. That's my answer. But that's only a little bit of it. I'm sure there's much more, and I want to learn more about it from other Americans that can better explain why we are so obsessed with ethnicity and diversity and DNA tests, whereas in Europe, they don't care so much. America, it's part of our identity to celebrate our ethnicity, our diversity, to celebrate what we know about that. It's part of our culture. That's really the simple answer.